live stream? Yeah. Okay, so I feel exceptionally privileged today. Sorry about the misunderstanding. So I'd like to welcome Rabbi Danishevsky. Rabbi Yakov Danishevsky, LCSW, is the founder of Mind Body Therapy, a group therapy practice in Chicago. Rabbi Danishevsky specializes in trauma, couples counseling, and sexual addictions. His book, Attached, is on its fourth printing, and his podcast, The Attached Life, can be found on all podcasting platforms. I know that the book is unbelievable. The Attached Life can be found, Yakov is also leads Avodas Halev, an initiative for meaningful Jewish learning and programming in Chicago. He is a popular speaker and author on the intersection of psychology, spirituality, and philosophy. With that, I feel so privileged. Thank you so much, Rabbi, for doing this for us. Really, mamash, thank you so much. I also, I want to dedicate today's learning to the safety of all our soldiers that are probably going to go back into Gaza, and to all the hostages. And I was asked today as well, there was a soldier who literally was like a vegetable after October 7th. And Baruch Hashem, he's been getting better and better. And he had major surgery today. He's starting to learn how to speak again. And I'd like to also dedicate this to him, that he should have a complete refuah shlema with all the injured soldiers, Roi Chaim ben Meirav. So with that, Rabbi, are you on? Did he get kicked off?
Yes, no, I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. My apologies about the timing, misunderstanding on my end. And because of that, we're going to have to keep it a bit shorter because I actually have another shir in person that I give here locally in a little bit. But the good news is that what I wanted to share with you is something that is a very powerful idea and can be spoken about for hours, if not days, weeks, months, years, but also can be explained in a very powerful way in a short amount of time. And so I want to just share with you one very quick but very, very significant idea. We're heading into Pesach preparation season, Shloshim Yom Kodem HaChag, 30 days before the holiday, Shol and V'Darshim B'Hilchos HaChag. The Gemara tells us we're already supposed to start involving ourselves in learning the Torah and the halachos of that holiday, of that Chag. And so we've already entered that 30-day period before Pesach. And in addition to entering the halachic and Torah aspect of preparation, of course, we know we are also already and many of us have already started or will get started or are thinking about getting started, of getting our houses ready, getting our refrigerators ready, getting everything ready to make Pesach and to have Pesach and to do it in the right way. And it's a lot of work. And I want to discuss and I want to offer you a perspective on something that I think is so important, which is that on the one hand, we talk about Pesach and we learn the ideas of Pesach, and you read the Haggadahs of Pesach and you hear the stories about the Pesach Seder. And Pesach is this incredible light that comes into the world and comes into our lives. Leil Shimurim, the night of the Seder, it's an exalted, elevated, amazing time. It's the night of passing on our tradition, our Masorah, from one generation to the next. It's the highest of the high, and it's spoken about in the most glorious and exalted terms and concepts. And there's a tremendous sense of power to that night of Pesach, Yetzias Mitzrayim, the formation of our nation, the miracles, the Eser Makos, revelation of Hashem in this world, through nature, above nature, and it leads to Kriyas Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea. And all of that is a preparation to lead us to Matan Torah, to the grand revelation, to the giving of the Torah, to the ultimate marriage of the Jewish people and Hashem. And so Pesach, the Pesach Seder, what more can even be said? I can't find the right words. It's so big, it's so exalted. And yet, most of us actually come into the experience of the Pesach Seder, and everything I just said feels like a dream. Because leading up to the Pesach Seder, there's a tremendous amount of work. There's a tremendous amount of work. If we're making Pesach, if we're at home, there's so many details, so many crumbs, literally and figuratively, of what we are trying to deal with and prepare. So many dishes, so many things to take into consideration, so many family politics to work through and figure out who's going where and who's sleeping where and who's with who and who's not with who. And if we're not making Pesach, we're traveling and going somewhere, that also is a big hassle. And if we're going on a program, so then it's a whole different story of how do you even experience Pesach, because it doesn't really feel like Pesach on these programs. So what do? The whole reality of our experienced and lived Pesach is in such stark contrast to everything that Pesach is said to be. You're at the Seder, and I don't know about you, but for me, I'm at the Seder and I'm just trying to figure out, I wouldn't even say I'm trying to figure out how to keep everybody happy. That would be way too high of an expectation. I would say I'm just trying to figure out how to keep everyone from melting down. That's the goal. If I can keep everyone from melting down, that was a successful Seder, right? And then to keep people actually happy and engaged, to distribute the time and who gets to say what and how many languages is the kid going to say the Manishtana in, because for some reason they learned 38 languages, but who in the world wants to sit there and listen to all 38 languages? But if you don't, then they're upset because they learned it and they were excited about doing it, so now they're crying, but now their sibling is crying because they don't want to wait for that, and this one got that grape juice and that one got that grape juice, and this one spilled this and this one spilled that, and this one's hungry and this one doesn't want to sit over there and doesn't want to sit next to that one. And Maggid's going too long, Maggid is too rushed. There's a myriad of details, and everyone's just trying to figure out how to get it all right, or get it all decent, or get it all okay. And so both the preparation period leading up to Pesach, as well as the actual experience, seems to be in such stark contrast to what's spoken about of this glorious, exalted night. So what do we do with that? How do we experience that? I can't see too many people, but I would love to know if, like, I don't think I'm crazy. I think this is the experience that most people have, right? This is the normal experience of most people on Pesach.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think I got muted for a second. You can hear me? Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so what do we do with this? So I want to share with you maybe the most profound teaching that I've ever learned in my life from the Alter Rebbe, from the Baal Tanya of Shner Zalman of Liadi. And this is mamish, like the deepest thing in the world. So I'm going to try and give it over to you. I'm going to try and share it with you. And you have to spend some time with this. You have to like take a walk with this idea. You have to like go on a vacation with this idea, you know, by yourselves, and just think about it and marinate in it and live with it and see if it makes sense to you, see what it means to you. I'm going to share it with you in the way that I understand it for me, and why it's been so absolutely and completely life-changing and life-altering, and really, I would say life-saving, really, truly life-saving. The Alter Rebbe teaches that There's two different ways of talking about our experience with Hashem, our experience of Hashem. There's something called Atzmos, which means Hashem in his essence. And there's something called Ziv, or Or, which is the light of Hashem, the radiance of Hashem, the Giloi, the revelation of Hashem. Meaning there is the thing itself, and there's the revelation of that thing. There's the sun, and then there's the rays of light that come from the sun. What the Alter Rebbe says is that when you experience something, if you think back to whatever the most recent moment and experience that you had was where you felt inspired, you felt close to Hashem, you felt moved, elevated, you felt like Hashem was right here, you felt that Hashem was giving you a hug, you felt that you were in a deep, meaningful, connected relationship with God. By definition, if you were experiencing that, what the Alter Rebbe says is that you were experiencing the Ziv Hashchina. You were experiencing the rays of light that come from the sun. You were experiencing the revelation of Hashem, the light that emanates from Hashem. You are experiencing what we might call elokus, or godliness. You weren't experiencing atzmos. You weren't experiencing Hashem himself. You were experiencing Hashemness, not Hashem. Not that that's not Hashem, because it is also. But you are experiencing the rays of light that come from the sun. However, says the Alter Rebbe, the most counterintuitive and mind-blowing and confusing thing in the world. He says, okay, all of that is true about the most recent time that you experienced a state of feeling elevated, a state of feeling inspired, feeling close to Hashem. But you know what he says? Think about the last time that you were experiencing a sense of disconnection from Hashem. You were experiencing a feeling and a moment of not knowing where Hashem is, maybe not even knowing if Hashem exists, not knowing if you have a relationship with Hashem, not feeling inspired, not feeling elevated, not feeling moved, not feeling connected. The last time you experienced that, says the Alter Rebbe, you were actually experiencing God himself, an even higher level. When you felt inspired, you were experiencing the rays of the sun, the light of Hashem, the revelation of Hashem. When you were feeling completely uninspired and disconnected, that was Hashem himself. How in the world does that make any sense? Well, the Alter Rebbe explains, and once he explains it, it makes so much sense. It's just so counterintuitive. It's mind-blowing. Here's what he says. He says, well, let's think about it. Hashem himself, is he knowable or unknowable to the human mind? Completely unknowable. Hashem himself, is he in time and space? Totally not in time and space. Does he have definition? Are there terms, are there concepts we can talk about? No. We can't talk about God. When we're talking about Hashem in himself, we can't even say that Hashem is loving. We can't even say Hashem is compassionate. We actually can't say anything at all. Literally can't say anything at all. To even say that God is infinite, well, what does that mean? When we say infinite, we usually think of something finite and then we just make it bigger, but that's still finite. Hashem is completely transcendent, completely unknowable, completely undefinable, completely other than us. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Hashem is completely separate from us, totally unknowable. As the Rambam writes, what's called negative theology, the only thing we can say is what we can't say. We can't actually say anything. That's what the Gemara says. You're going to say Yishtabach, you're going to say Hashem's praises, but then how do you stop? Where do you stop? So now whenever you stop, you're implying he's those things and not something else. You can't say anything. Hashem is completely unknowable. Hashem is completely transcendent, completely other. We live in a world of time and space. We live in a world of concepts, of definitions, of constrictions, of this is one thing, this is something else. We understand things through terms, through contrasts, through beginnings and ends, sequences, etc. All of those things are the completely, fundamentally, categorically wrong apparatuses for comprehending or understanding or experiencing God, who is completely other from every one of those ways of understanding and experiencing things. So fundamentally, Hashem in his essence is completely, totally, and utterly unknowable, unexperienceable to us. So how is it that there are times that you feel such an incredible, incredible presence of God? How is it that there are times where you know Hashem exists so deeply and you feel like you even know him? You feel like you have a relationship with Hashem. You feel his love. You feel his presence. You feel connection. You feel meaning. How is it that you have all those experiences? You have all those experiences because Hashem chose to constrict, to be mitzamtzem, so to speak, to constrict himself, to allow himself to be knowable by emanating, by radiating light from himself in more constricted ways that fit into the kalim, the vessels of our minds and hearts. Which means then that whenever I feel that I'm experiencing Hashem, that means I'm experiencing, by definition, if I feel that I feel Hashem, or I have the experience of feeling that I know something of Hashem, by definition, what that means is that what I'm feeling or knowing is a constricted level of Hashem. Because otherwise, it wouldn't be knowable or feelable to me. So when I feel that inspiration, that connection, that relationship, that means that I'm experiencing the constricted, the emanated, the light that comes from Hashem. But Hashem himself is completely unknowable. And so the Alter Rebbe says, that is the deepest, deepest secret of halacha. You know what oftentimes feels really, really meaningless and uninspiring? Cleaning for Pesach. Chametz of this size, but not that size, and where it can be and where it can't be, and this one's machmir for that, and what type of countertop can be kashered and which kind can't be kashered, and how do you kasher it, and which kalim are okay and which kalim are not okay, and all these different things, these details that seem so ungodly. I'll show you God. Let's go out to the forest and let's look at the sky. Let's meditate. Let's sing together. That is going to feel godly. You're telling me that when I'm in my kitchen grinding up apples, that's godly? Making my 16th potato kugel, that's godly? Spending $8,000 on matzah, that's godly? That's not godly. Let's go. Let's go to the mountains. I'll show you God in the mountains. Where's God in figuring out the sleeping arrangements for my family that's coming in? And the Alter Rebbe says, you know what? You're right. In the mountains, it's going to feel more godly. Because in the mountains, that's the light of Hashem. That's the light of Hashem. In the meaninglessness of your apples and potatoes, measuring the sizes of the Kiddush cups, checking the level, how much alcohol the light Rashi has to make sure that it's okay, and these seemingly mundane, meaningless details, Those are our connection to Hashem himself. And that's exactly why they seem so ungodly and so meaningless. Because Hashem in his essence is unknowable. So says the Alter Rebbe, when you experience something that there's a myriad of details that seem ungodly, the prate pratim of halacha, the intricate details of halacha, that's when you're coming in contact with Atzmos Hashem, with Hashem himself. And that's why it feels so ungodly. Because to us, the real thing of Hashem is unknowable. So it's unknowable. To us, it is ungodly. When a person experiences doubt, does Hashem exist? You know what they're coming in contact with? The unknowable God, who relative to your mind is actually unknowable. So yeah, you would doubt, does he exist? Because you know what? Relative to your mind, he doesn't exist. So what that means is that, and the reason I say this is life-altering and for me was life-saving, what that means is that the most mundane, most uninspiring, seemingly lowest things are the things that are rooted in the highest place. The unconstricted, unfiltered, unadulterated, the completely wide open experience of Hashem himself is the experience of doing something that Hashem is telling you to do, but that totally doesn't feel like it makes any sense to you, doesn't feel like it has any meaning, and doesn't feel godly. And that's the experience of Hashem himself. And we need both of these experiences. There's a reason we have both. Yiddishkeit is made up of both of these experiences. The ziv, the radiance of Hashem, where we feel it, and the atzmos of Hashem, where we have no experience of it. We don't feel it. And that maybe is one way to think about Pesach, going into Pesach. Of course, we want to have the experiences where we feel it. And we should think about ways to do Pesach preparation and do the Seder in ways that are going to feel like something meaningful to us. Of course, we should do that 100%. But we should also know at every second, remind ourselves and think about that when we're doing something, at the moment that the sources and the Svarim teach us is the highest moment in the world, that's exactly why you have that contrast I spoke about before. That, the Pesach Seder is the biggest thing in the world. And then what am I really doing? Dealing with grape juice fights, seating arrangements, when to put the food in the oven, when to take out the food, so I time it right with Shulchan Aruch, and that's really what I'm doing? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Because the unknowable God is experienced in the experiences of not knowing that I'm knowing God. The knowable level of Hashem, which is the revealed level, is the lower level that I know him. But the higher level of an unknowable being means that I'm experiencing him. I'm only really experiencing the unknowable God in moments where I'm not knowing that I'm experiencing God. So it's not that I'm not experiencing him. It's that I'm experiencing the not of him, if that makes sense. Right? So there's a lot more to say. And I'm sorry we have to cut it. But I hope this is something to think about. It's a lot to think about. It takes a lot more time to really, like I said, take this and think about it, and think about it, and think about it, and think about it. It takes a lot of contemplation, not a simple idea. And Hashem should help. I hope I said it over correctly, because we're talking over, very, very lofty, big things. And Hashem should forgive any mistake in transmitting, such important and deep concepts. But to each person on their own to think about and try to understand this. Okay, I'm sorry that I have to run. I have another share that I go give now. I apologize.
Can we just ask one question?
Sure.
When you talk about the unknowing, right? You're talking about the unknowing. There's a lot of questions probably people have about what you just gave over.
I'm sure. It's
such a shame. So the question is any form of doubt, is that considered the unknowing? Or it's just when we're doing something that doesn't feel like it's the mountains or it's like Kedusha?
I would say
that's
both. I would say both. One is cognitive and one is emotional. And both of them are the cognitive experience of the higher level of Hashem would be the doubt. And the emotional experience of the higher level Hashem would be the feeling like this is meaningless, or like this is this is not inspiring.
Uh-huh. So would you say that when a person is, when Am Yisrael is going through difficult things, or when we're experiencing different things, and there's that level of doubt of the experiencing of different things, would you say that's in the category of actually experiencing God, the unknowable God?
I think it's definitely a very powerful way to look at the experience of suffering, or the things of that nature. Definitely could be. Definitely could be. I don't know. But that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So
okay,
you're
I'm
saying
very sorry that I have to run. I really apologize.
Okay,
Have a great
thank
day,
you so
everybody.
much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.